7-point game, but Hooker gets the steal. Goes in. And she's got Lobla in the paint. Making rebound. With the flash.
On this edition of UND Sports Extra, the men's basketball team embarks on the long road to a league title. We've got all the highlights from the Big Sky tournament with head coach Brian Jones in moments. Later on the show, women's head coach Travis Brewster recaps his team's road in Reno as the Fighting Hawks try to prove they belong in the postseason. And we'll tell you about an incredible journey. It involves baseball and former UND standout Tyler Follis as he tries to make a lifelong dream finally come true. We welcome you into the program and welcome back men's head basketball coach Brian Jones. And did you remember what Grand Forks was like after being on the road for a week and a half?
Tough. It's tough to remember your family, where you parked your car, all that stuff, but it's definitely nice to be back.
Absolutely. It was a trip to Reno for you guys at the Big Sky tournament. Ultimately, it didn't end the way that you wanted to, but you had to be happy about the way your team performed while you were there.
No doubt. We played exceptionally well in the 3 games we played. Obviously, we got better as each game went on, and that's what you want. That last game against Weber was a high college basketball game, and our guys, I was disappointed after the game, but I was just pleased with them because they left everything out there, and that's all you can ever ask as a group, and gave ourselves a chance. Obviously, went to overtime. It didn't come out the way we wanted, but, man, we sure played well.
We will get to Weber State in a moment, but let's go all the way back to the opening round. You open against the 12-seed Southern Utah. UND the 5-seed in a first-round matchup on Tuesday. First half, a fast start for your team. You started on a 13-4 run over the first 4.5.
Well, that's what we talked about against Southern Utah. They're such a tough team. They play hard. They compete. We needed to get out of the gate strong, which we did. But then what happened? We got in some foul trouble. Got some guys on the bench, and we had to go to it and give Southern Utah a lot of credit. They got in a rhythm, and it took us most of the second half to finally get our rhythm back.
Yeah, Southern Utah answered on a 19-7 run. James McGee hitting the 3 there. Southern Utah led by 3 at the half. In the second half, though, a UND comeback led by, guess who, Quentin Hooker.
Yeah, he was special. He was special the whole tournament, but in this game, our guys did a great job of getting him touches and continue to go to him, but also give him credit because he was able to finish a lot of shots.
Yeah, a couple drives to the hoop, then knocking down the spot-up 3. Your team builds a 7-point lead. Hooker with 26 of his 30 points coming in the second half of this one. Southern Utah would keep it close, but with a minute to go, Crandall drives, gets blocked, but Bernstein there to clean it up as your team goes on to win 85-80. You get that first one out of the way. Bernstein with 15 points, 8 rebounds, and Cortez Seals with 10 points and 6 boards off the bench. So you get the advance to the quarterfinal round on Thursday, taking on the number 4 seed Idaho State, and your team flying out of the gates in this one. Drick Bernstein going to go to Gino Crandall for the dunk as your team led by 5, and then from there, we see a plethora of threes falling for you, Coach.
Well, what I think, real honestly, what helped us was we played a game in that building, and Idaho State hadn't, so we were just comfortable in the environment. But against Idaho State all year, we've done a great job of just sharing the ball, making the extra passes, I say keeping it hot, and our guys did that for 40 minutes.
Here's a prime example of making the extra pass all the way around the perimeter, finding the open man McDermott for 3. He had a team-high 16. Then Crandall will get into the act from beyond the arc as he knocks down the 3 off the screen. Your team building a 15-point lead. And then, of course, you can't forget about Hooker as he's all alone in the corner. He calls for it, knocks down the triple, an 18-point lead at that point. All UND in control, and Drick Bernstein was into breaking some Big Sky tournament records in this one for you.
Well, he was. Obviously, he rebounded to 21, which is the all-time high. There was probably more records. I think the largest win in this game, so there's a lot of positive things. But as you continue to see here is the extra pass, passing up a good shot for a great one, and that's what I'm pleased about. This group has always done that all season long.
Yeah, you mentioned 14 points, 21 boards for Bernstein. That 21 rebound effort is a record in the Big Sky tournament. Cortez Seals, another solid game off the bench for you. He had a nice tournament for you.
He did, and he took him some time to come back from that concussion, but he's got the ability to do this every game. He's just still getting comfortable as a freshman and being confident in what he does. But boy, we sure played well, and it was nice to get some of our bench some quality minutes in that game as well, which would have helped us the next night, obviously, on a short turnaround to play Weber State.
Absolutely. 83-49. It is the biggest blowout in Big Sky tournament history. 6 UND players in double figures controlled that one throughout. Then the big matchup on Friday, against number 1 seed Weber State in the semifinals, and this was just a good old-fashioned shootout. As you mentioned, it was a back-and-forth game throughout. Quentin Hooker got you off to a strong start.
He did. He got us off to a strong start and a strong finish, obviously, with the team-high 38. But, boy, I mean, this game had a lot of things riding on it, obviously, but both teams, I thought, were just toe-to-toe. No one led by more than 6. We led for 18 minutes. They led for 18 and a half minutes. It wasn't any more even. That was the game for the whole tournament I thought was the most evenly played.
Absolutely, and it was indeed tied game at the half. In the second half, the battle continues. Weber State builds a little bit of a lead. Rashad Gittens hitting the 3 here. That gives the Wildcats a 5-point advantage, but UND retakes the lead with 3.5 to go. Hooker hitting the fadeaway jumper here, and then we'll see Bernstein hitting a teardrop in the lane as this one continues to go back and forth. And down the stretch, it was Jeremy Senglin, Quentin Hooker. It's a team game, no question about it, but these two went back and forth. Senglin hits the pull-up 3 here to tie the game with just seconds to go. Your team gets one last look at it at the other end of the floor, but Crandall comes up short. McDermott gets blocked, and you're headed to OT.
Yeah, I mean, that was a decent look. But they double-teamed Quentin, so he couldn't get a touch, and we wanted to go a little bit faster than that. And, Gino, that's usually his shot, is that little pull-up. So, obviously, we got a good look. It didn't fall.
No question. Overtime, though, we go back to the Senglin versus Hooker battle. It really started to build here in overtime. Senglin hitting the 3 off the screen. Hooker answers at the other end with the floater in the lane. Weber State up by 1 at this point. But Senglin and Weber State just too much with a minute to go. Senglin going to bury another deep 3 here as Weber State goes up by 6 and unable to overcome that deficit.
Well, how do you go? I mean, look at that defense.
It's unbelievable.
Both the ones you saw, the one off the screen, the step back, the other step back, those were all well defended. It's just sometimes you got a better offensive play at that moment than you do defense. And Senglin's special, Quentin Hooker special, and that's what's exciting about this league. They both will be back next year.
That is what made it so fun about this game, watching those two go back and forth. They both were hitting highly contested shots over and over again. You mentioned Hooker. He ties a career high with 38 points, but your team falls 83-78. But your season, not over. You get bounced from the Big Sky tournament, but when we return after this break, the coach and I will preview the collegeinsiders.com postseason tournament right after the break. Don't go away.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. The UND men's basketball team marches on in the postseason. It'll be the collegeinsider.com postseason tournament tomorrow night, 7 o'clock against UC Irvine out of the Big West. And, Coach, there's already some buzz about this team coming into your building to take you guys on because of some of the different type of players, I guess, than what fans are used to seeing.
Well, obviously, they're a veteran team. They went to the tournament last year. They got beat in their tournament, and they were favored to win their league. So, the veteran team, but obviously having a 7'6" guy with an 8'3" wingspan, it's hard to prepare for that. But he's talented. I want our fans to come out, to see a highly talented team in our building that's not a conference opponent, but also this young man is a special player. I think he's got a chance to make money in the NBA one day because he's only a junior. He's a 2-time defensive player of the year in the Big West, so he's definitely intriguing as a fan. But it's really hard to prepare for it because you can't prepare for a 7'6", 8'3" wingspan. So.
That's Mamadou Ndiaye, the guy from Senegal that we're talking about. He'll be at the Betty tomorrow night. How does the length of this team, because they've got a 7'6" player that we just talked about. They've also got another 7'2" player that gets in the mix a little bit. How does that size that this team brings in impact your guys' game?
What impacts it, but we can't we still got to be who we are. We got to attack the paint. We got to get the shots we normally try to get, but also be smart. You can't keep banging your head against the wall thinking, I'm going to go finish on a 7'6" guy for 40 minutes. It's picking and choosing your spots, but still being aggressive. So we got to counter that. What do we have? Maybe we have some speed. Maybe we can spread them out a little bit differently. I don't know, but we just got to. We can't think we're going to go toe-to-toe with a 7'6" guy. That's not very smart on our part, but again, that's not our strength anyway, so we got to stick to what we do.
Absolutely. With the 3 games last week, is the energy still there with your guys?
It is, and I I was so impressed with our guys. We talked about it, and they were so excited to play at home. They wanted to play at home in front of their fans again, just because they knew what type of environment that the fans have built for them, and they built for themselves as well. So that's what they were truly excited. They're young, and they just want to continue to play. They love playing the game one, but they just enjoy one another, and they want to extend that not only for themselves, but for obviously the two seniors.
And it will be the first Division I postseason game at home in the Betty. Coach, we wish you the best of luck against UC Irvine, and hopefully you march on in the bracket of the collegeinsider.com postseason tournament. Don't go away. We're back with head women's basketball coach Travis Brewster next as his team makes a push through the Big Sky tournament.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. We continue our conversation at the Big Sky Tournament with women's head basketball coach Travis Brewster. Coach, welcome back to Grand Forks. It was a tournament where it ultimately didn't end the way you wanted it to, but you do see your season continue on. How are things progressing within your basketball program at this time?
Well, it's going well. Obviously we came up a little short out there, got ourselves to the semifinals. But at the same time, anytime you can have postseason play for your team, it's exciting. And, it's another opportunity to practice and have a little bit of fun. Absolutely.
The season does continue. Before we get to what's ahead, let's go back to the Big Sky Tournament. The quarterfinal round, you take on number 5 seed Montana. UND, of course, the number 4 seed. This back on Wednesday. And a solid start for your team in this one. Michaela Dyer hitting the 3 in the corner, and then we'll see Jill Morton in transition, driving for the hoop and the foul. It was a 9-point lead for you early on.
Yeah, we were playing well at that point, moving the ball well, attacking. I thought we did a good job in transition as well, but our defensive end was really solid for us. You see right there, Feller takes it to the hole. Great player, has the ability to score, but we were solid on the defensive end.
Yeah, Montana came back in the second quarter. UND leading by 2 at the break. In the third quarter, UND takes back over. You outscore them 21-9 in the third quarter.
Well, Samantha Roscoe had a big game for us, and I thought, Leah Zala did a good job controlling tempo and being strong with the basketball. Michaela Dyer's knocking down shots. Tough game for Maya Lloyd being in foul trouble.
The lead would continue to grow in double figures in the fourth quarter as Dyer with another long 3. She had a team-high 16 points as the lead builds to 16, but Montana would go on a 22-4 run with a minute and a half to go in a tie game. Kaylee Valley, tough 2 in the lane. She had a game-high 30 points for the Grizz as the Montana takes a 2-point lead, but with a minute to go, Zabla drives again and scores for 2 of her 13 to tie things up. And then in the closing seconds, with UND up by 1, Montana inbounding, and Maya Lloyd with a big save here and preserves the victory.
Well, they went right at her. She had 4 fouls, trying to get that 5th on her and get an and one. She was solid in defensive end there, and, hustle play by her at the end. So, the good thing is she got to make exciting play for us.
Absolutely. UND hanging on for the quarterfinal victory, 65-62. And a key in this game, I thought, UND at the free throw line, 21 of 24. And that's such a difference in close ball games, knocking down the free throws. So we move ahead to the semifinals then, taking on the Cinderella story of the tournament, number 9 seed Idaho State, who knocked off top seed Montana State in the quarterfinals, advancing to the semis. And it was a relatively good start for your team. Maya Lloyd with the strong 2 at the hoop there, and then later Samantha Roscoe with the drive. She gets the hoop and the harm. She had 14 points to tie things up, but later in the first, Idaho State closes the quarter on a 14-4 run as Brooke Blair goes in for the lay-in, and Idaho State would take a 7-point lead at that point. You'd hang tough in the second quarter, though, keeping it within single digits.
Oh, absolutely. You see there that we were pounded inside, doing what we do well. Our defense wasn't very good there in the transition or overall throughout the game. I thought we were a little flat-footed on the defensive side, and offensively, we couldn't get going. They did a good job of just kind of stifling us. And, it's one of those games that you have to give credit where credit's due. Idaho State came out, they executed well, they took it to us, and we never recovered after the second quarter.
That was execution there. We just saw Epiphany Woods on the back door for 2 in the foul. She had a team-high 15. Idaho State up 13 at the half. You'd make a couple runs to get it back into single digits in the third quarter.
Well, the thing is, you gotta have some people attacking. I thought Leah Zabla and Samantha Roscoe really did a great job attacking the hoop and playing through contact and, just getting some good scores. I thought Kelsey Knox came in and gave us a good lift as well. It's just one of those things you can see defensively we weren't on our game.
Yeah, Blair there with all the way for the 2 and the foul there as Idaho State goes up by 13. They go on to win 69-54. Shooting was a differential in this game. Idaho State 40%, North Dakota 27%, and Idaho State a plus 10 on the rebounding. That was a rare discrepancy for your team this year.
Well, they did a great job of crashing their guards, and obviously the big kids are always going to crash. Their guards were crashing and getting those rebounds. It's tough. That was the second game that we played somebody 3 times, and we played Montana. I had to beat them 3 times to knock them off. And now you have Idaho State trying to beat them for a 3rd time. So it's one of those things that it's March Madness.
Absolutely. The run at the Big Sky tournament came to a close early, but the season is not over. We'll continue our conversation with Coach Brewster right after this.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. The season does indeed continue for the UND women's basketball squad. They will play host to Grand Canyon on Thursday, 7 o'clock at the Betty in the Women's Basketball Invitational. Coach, a team that a lot of our viewers probably are not familiar with. What have you learned in this short time about Grand Canyon going in?
Well, the big thing is they're out of the WAC conference, and obviously they like to get up and down a little bit. They attack very well. I got to give a lot of credit to my assistant coaches. Last night, as soon as we found out, you got Coach Jackie Boyd in the office, you got Adam Jacobson, Mallory Bernhardt, and Jessica Kaplinsky. They're all in there, and we're working away. And, I come in this morning, Jackie Boyd's in the office working already. And, as I come over, Adam's coming in, and Coach Bernhardt. So, they're working hard on this. We'll have a lot more information here as we go. But it's one of those things that, they're an explosive team. And we have to take care of the basketball against them.
This is a team that defeated conference foe of yours, Northern Colorado. They beat them by 10 back in December. It's a balanced scoring bunch. They've got 4 players that average in double figures. What's your team, though, going to need to do to execute properly on Thursday night?
Well, the biggest thing is we got to take care of the basketball against their press. Very similar of a Weber State type of style of play where they want to turn you over and then go the other way. The other thing is, we're going to have to stop their penetration. They're a good team that gets to the rim very well. They're quick. So that's going to be a new challenge for us, and they're a physical team. So it's going to be interesting for us in that aspect.
And at least one more home game. That's an important thing, especially for those like Maya Lloyd and Kelsey Knox to get at least one more opportunity to come back and play in front of the home crowd.
Anytime you get your seniors back in the home court here against our great crowd, so it's going to be exciting. It really is.
All right, best of luck, Coach, in the WBI, starting out against Grand Canyon Thursday night at the Betty. We're back with more right after this. Stay with us here on UND Sports Extra.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. The odds of making it from college to the pros falls around 2%. At one point in the baseball career of Tyler Follis, it looked like those might be his odds of just playing at the collegiate level. But through a lot of hard work and determination, he's continuing his lifelong dream of playing baseball at the highest of all levels. Here's Marty Mueller with more.
It's a big part of my life growing up, and getting to where I am now, it's like a dream come true. As cliche as that sounds, but it's been a dream.
How long would you wait to fulfill a dream? A year? 10 years? Tyler Follis is no stranger to the waiting game. As an emerging high school prospect, he seemed destined to play collegiate baseball, until an injury took him off program's radar. And so, he waited, both to heal and to hopefully receive college offers again.
I was a little bit weary coming back from the injury. Didn't have anybody going into my senior year. Senior summer, didn't have anybody. Went into my senior summer, played in the Lions All-Star Tournament for Minnesota. And Coach Field, who was my old hitting coach, and then DeVillers both saw me, and they both were like, all right, well, we got to get this kid here. They called me about 3 weeks before school started up, and we're like, hey, you want to come on a visit? came on a visit, found out who was all coming here, and it was just an easy fit.
Though UND gave him a chance, that's all it was. A chance to prove to himself and his peers he belonged.
Knowing that I was a late recruitment, I had no guaranteed anything. The only thing I was told, I was out on the team. So I knew coming in that I had no playing time, no scholarship, no nothing. So I had to come in and prove myself. So when I came in and they were like, we're looking for a freshman to come in, hit, play in the field. We didn't have a shortstop. That was my goal, was to make a starting spot. Didn't plan on all the extra things happening.
Tyler would have a breakout year as a freshman, leading the team in batting average and setting a single-season record for hits at 74, only to break that record as a senior and set a new one for career hits. Numbers like that turns the head of a pro scout. But if Tyler wanted to play pro ball, he would have to endure maybe the longest wait of all, draft day.
Watched every round, every pick for the first, I don't even remember how many rounds. And then my mom called me, picked up the phone, started talking to her, and all of a sudden while I'm on the phone with her, my phone just starts vibrating and vibrating and vibrating, and I quick run back to my computer and saw I had went 2 picks before that were on the board. So I'm like, Mom, I gotta hang up. I got someone to call me, so I hung up. It was the scout from the Colorado Rockies saying, welcome to the Rockies.
And just like that, the 28-round wait was over for a Minnesota kid who almost didn't get a chance.
It's kind of cool to show, like, for other people from my hometown and something, that just because you're from a northern town doesn't mean anything. As long as you're willing to put in the work, you can do whatever you want. You just got to be able to willing to do it. So, I mean, I'm really happy I'm where I'm at, and I couldn't have asked for a better journey on the way.
And we have the collegeinsider.com postseason tournament here on Midco Sports Network tomorrow night as the UND men square off against UC Irvine. Tip-off just after 7 o'clock right here on Midco Sports Network. We hope you'll be able to join us then. Thanks for watching UND Sports Extra.